When I got up this morning, I was looking at an article I wrote some time ago, and the article was on July 9th, 2009. It was entitled, Boasting is a Premonition to Disaster. Premonition, it's when you have a feeling about something bad going to happen. The antonym of that will be presentiment, when you get a feeling of something good going to happen. And I had to ponder about that. I hear people boast every day about what they will become. Nations set their budgets for the next 10 years, and others even challenge God. Mothers have boasted about their beauty, and not long they were struck with cancer. Spouses have boasted about their marriages, but months after their marriage fell apart. Students have boasted, and on the day of the examination, they fell ill. Others have boasted of being the best drivers, and on that very day, they struck and killed someone. Oh, ye humble, hear me. So the Bible says, for that ye thought to say, if the Lord will, we shall live and do this or that. That is James chapter 4, verse 15. And finally, Proverbs 21, verse 1 says, boast not thyself of tomorrow, for thou knowest not what the day may bring. Proverbs 27, verse 1. No human being can determine their destiny. I give you some examples why I say so. In 1901, Her Majesty Queen Victoria was on her dying bed, and the English planned to enthrone her son, Betty, as Edward VII. Newspapers carried it this way. Here is a proclamation that on a certain day, Prince Edward will be crowned king at Westminster, and there is no Dio Volonte, God willing. Unfortunately, man proposes, but God disposes, and on that day, the future king had appendicitis, and the ceremony and enthronement were postponed. Who disposed here? Who do you think disposed here? I ask you again. In June 1812, Napoleon quoted and added to the Bible saying, man proposes, but God disposes, but I propose and dispose too. He proposed to invade Russia and make the whole of Europe his. That was what he said. Unbelievably, he came without a mantle and scepter. When Alexander took over Europe, he instituted Christian principles of governance and management. That is how man proposes, but God disposes. You see, because you now realize that Napoleon was soundly beaten, or if he was beaten by the elements of nature. If you didn't know that. Voltaire, the French philosopher, once said that the destiny of man is in its own hands and not God, and that in the next 100 years, the Bible will be wiped off the surface of the earth. He planned to use his printing press. 100 years later, after his death, his printing press began printing Bibles. See, when you boast and you challenge God, you see the type of things that may happen. Yeah. In April 14, 1912, when asked about the Titanic, an employee of the ship boasted God himself could not sink this ship. He did not need God to sink, because when the ship collided with an iceberg, it sank south of the Newfoundland. A man's heart devised his ways, but the Lord directed his steps. That is in Proverbs chapter 16, verse 9. There are many devices in a man's heart. Nevertheless, the counsel of the Lord, that shall stand. Proverbs 19, verse 21. There is no wisdom, nor understanding, nor counsel against the Lord. Proverbs 21, verse 30. So all those people who gather all the time and they are fighting and challenging God, they may want to always think twice. We see that said, and it cometh to pass when the Lord commanded it not. That was a lamentation, Jeremiah lamenting in 3 verse 37. So I will say this: no one can fight against God. You all stay blessed and stop boasting.